John was a simple man, loved his job, loved his wife, loved his daughter. Life was good. He had a beautiful wife, Emily, and a bright, bubbly 8-year-old daughter, Lily. They were a picture-perfect family. Weekends were filled with laughter, bike rides in the park and family movie nights. John believed he had it all. He was living the dream. What more could a man ask for? John worked hard, climbed the corporate ladder. Emily stayed home, nurturing their daughter and keeping their home a haven. They had their routines, their inside jokes, their shared dreams. Every night, John would come home to Emily's warm embrace and Lily's infectious laughter. Life was a symphony, each day a harmonious melody. Birthdays were always special. John cherished those moments, watching Lily unwrap her gifts, her eyes sparkling with joy. He held on to the memories of her first steps, her first words. He was her hero, her protector, her dad. Or so he thought. One day, Emily called John, her voice trembling.
We need to talk.
John felt a knot in his stomach. Something was wrong. He drove home, his mind racing with possibilities. He found Emily in the living room, her face pale, her eyes red-rimmed.
John, there's something I need to tell you, something about Lily.
John's heart pounded in his chest. What could it be? Was Lily sick? Was it something serious? He held his breath, bracing himself for the worst. The words that followed shattered his world.
Lily, she's not your daughter, John.
Silence hung heavy in the air. John stared at Emily, his mind struggling to process the words.
What? What do you mean she's not my daughter?
Emily's confession spilled out, each word a dagger to John's heart. A past relationship, a moment of weakness, a secret she had kept buried for years. The life John knew, the family he cherished, crumbled around him. He felt betrayed, lost, angry. The ground beneath him had given way, leaving him teetering on the edge of an abyss. John couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. He did the only thing he could do. He ran. He grabbed his jacket, his keys, and fled their once happy home. He drove aimlessly, the world outside a blur. How could this be happening? 8 years of laughter, love, family dinners, all built on a lie. He ended up in a cheap motel, the smell of stale cigarettes and despair clinging to the worn furniture. He didn't cry, couldn't cry. He felt numb, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and pain. He called his boss, mumbled something about a family emergency. He couldn't face anyone, couldn't bear the pitying looks, the whispered questions. Days turned into nights. John shut out the world, his phone switched off, his thoughts consumed by Emily's betrayal. He replayed their years together, searching for clues, for signs he had missed. Each memory, once a source of joy, now felt tainted, poisoned by deceit. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. The world had shrunk to the four walls of his motel room, a prison of his own making. How could this be happening? The question echoed in his mind, unanswered as the days stretched on. The phone rang. John stared at it, the shrill sound jarring in the silence of the room. He knew it was Emily. He knew she would call, would try to explain, to apologize, but he wasn't ready to listen. He let it ring, the sound a constant reminder of everything he had lost. He couldn't hide forever. His brother Mark tracked him down, his face etched with concern.
John, what's going on? Emily's worried sick, we all are.
John looked at his brother, his confidant, his rock. The words spilled out, raw and painful. Mark listened patiently, his silence speaking volumes. Family gatherings were strained. Whispers followed John, judgment in their eyes. His parents, their faces etched with disappointment, urged him to forgive Emily, to think of Lily.
She's innocent in all of this, John. Don't punish her for her mother's mistakes.
David, John's best friend since college, arrived at the motel room with a six-pack of beer and a listening ear.
So what are you gonna do?
He asked, his voice devoid of judgment. John shrugged, the weight of the decision crushing him. Divorce. The word hung in the air, heavy and final. David listened as John poured out his pain, his anger, his confusion.
I don't know what to do, Dave. I feel like I'm drowning.
David, a man of few words but profound wisdom, simply nodded.
You'll figure it out. Just breathe.
They sat in silence, the air thick with unspoken understanding. John knew David wouldn't offer platitudes or easy answers. He just needed someone to listen, someone to remind him that he wasn't alone. And in that moment, surrounded by the wreckage of his life, John felt a glimmer of hope. He could get through this, he had to. John met Lily at a park. He watched her from afar, her laughter a bittersweet melody. She looked so much like him, yet wasn't. He approached her, his heart heavy. He wouldn't punish her for her mother's mistakes. He would be there for her, for as long as she'd let him. He sat her down, explained that he and Mommy would not be living together, but that he would see her often. Emily had already told Lily about her real father. To his surprise, she already knew. Lily, wise beyond her years, surprised him. "I still love you, John, you're still John." Tears welled up in John's eyes. She understood. The divorce was messy, painful, but through it all, John found a strength he didn't know he possessed. He started therapy, began to piece his life back together. He focused on his career, found solace in his hobbies. He learned to forgive not for Emily, but for himself. Years later, John found happiness again. He met someone, remarried. Lily, now a young woman, remained a constant in his life. He learned that family wasn't just about blood. It was about love, loyalty, and the choices you made. The pain never fully went away, but it had faded, replaced by a quiet understanding. He had survived, and in the process, he had found himself.